Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover the honestly kind of mind-blowing physics and math powering that everyday navigation system sitting right in your pocket. Welcome, everyone. We use it literally every single day, without a second thought. You punch in an address, hit go, and suddenly you've got this perfect, real-time map guiding you. But that invisible network hovering thousands of miles above our heads, it is nothing short of a modern miracle. It's operating silently, 24/7, just wrapping the entire globe in this invisible grid of data. So today, we're going to decode the celestial compass of our age. We're going to figure out exactly how a constellation of machines, speeding through the absolute vacuum of space, actually manages to coordinate our chaotic, everyday lives down here on the ground.
So picture this scenario. You are completely lost in an unfamiliar city. The streets are a total maze, the signs are super confusing, maybe they're even in a language you don't speak, and you have somewhere incredibly important to be. Panic naturally kind of starts to set in, right? But then you pull out your phone, open up your map app, and there it is, that glowing, glorious little blue dot. It totally saves the day, guiding you step by step to exactly where you need to go. But let's just take a step back for a second and really ask ourselves, how on earth does a hunk of metal floating in the cold, dark vacuum of space know exactly where you are, down to just a matter of meters? When you actually pause to think about the logistics of that, it sounds like absolute magic. But as we're going to see, it's actually an incredibly precise, beautifully structured piece of science.
Now, before we get to the how, we absolutely have to bust a massive myth. If you ask most people how GPS actually figures out where they are, they'll probably confidently tell you that it uses triangulation. And hey, it's a fantastic word. We hear it in spy movies all the time when they're trying to track some rogue signal. But actually, scratch that, it is completely wrong when it comes to the global positioning system. You see, triangulation uses the measurement of angles to find a location. Think about old-school maritime navigation, where sailors use sextants to measure the angle of the stars, or how cell towers might try to find the general direction of a phone. GPS, on the other hand, relies on a fundamentally different geometric principle called trilateration.
The absolute crucial point here is that trilateration is entirely about measuring distance. It's about knowing exactly how far away you are from specific, known reference points. The system literally doesn't care about angles at all. To really grasp this concept without getting totally bogged down in orbital mechanics, let's just shrink the universe down for a second. Imagine we're trying to find our location on a giant, completely flat map of a country. If I tell you that you are exactly 600 miles away from City A, well, that single piece of information doesn't really pinpoint you, does it? You could be anywhere on a massive circle drawn around City A with a radius of 600 miles. You could be way up north, down south, east, west, you just know the distance. We need way more data to find your exact spot.
So let's build on this and see how intersecting circles actually solve the puzzle. You've got your first circle around City A. Now, imagine I give you a second piece of info. You are also exactly 500 miles from City B. When we draw that second circle onto our map, those two massive circles are going to intersect at exactly two specific points. We have just narrowed down your location massively. You're no longer just wandering somewhere on a giant ring. You have to be standing at one of those two specific intersections. But you still aren't fully pinpointed. So here comes the final piece of the puzzle. I tell you that you are exactly 400 miles from City C. When we drop that third and final circle onto the map, all three circles are going to overlap at only one single exact point. Boom. By knowing your precise distance from three known reference points, you've completely pinpointed your exact location.
But here is where we hit a really fascinating snag. To figure out the actual size of those circles in the real world, we have to peel the onion back to the deepest, most magical layer of GPS, which is time. Just think about it. How does a satellite in orbit actually know the distance between itself and your phone? Space doesn't exactly have mile markers. The satellite certainly isn't dropping a giant physical tape measure down to Earth. This is where time becomes the total unsung hero of modern navigation. Because without insanely accurate microscopic timekeeping, that elegant little geometric system of circles we just talked about falls apart instantly.
The real secret sauce lies in incredibly precise atomic clocks. You see, GPS satellites are constantly broadcasting radio signals down to Earth in this omnidirectional wave. And radio signals, since they're a form of electromagnetic radiation, travel at a known constant speed, the speed of light. That is a blistering 186,000 miles per second. Inside every single GPS satellite is a hyper-accurate atomic clock keeping temporal precision literally down to the nanosecond. These clocks beam down a signal that essentially acts like a super precise timestamp. It says, hey, I'm satellite number 5, and I sent this exact message at this microscopic fraction of a second. Your phone receives that signal, records the exact time it arrived, and just calculates the difference. The travel time of that signal, multiplied by the speed of light, equals the exact distance between you and the satellite. It is literally that basic math equation we all learn in grade school. Distance equals rate times time. It's just happening at the speed of light. And because light moves so unbelievably fast, if that clock is off by even 1,000th of a second, your calculated location would be off by nearly 200 miles.
Now, while 3 circles work beautifully for our minds on a perfectly flat map, the absolute minimum number of satellites required to calculate your position in the real world is actually 4. Why 4? Well, remember our map analogy? 3 circles are all you need if you're a 2-dimensional drawing living on a flat piece of paper. But you and I live in a dynamic, incredibly complex 3-dimensional world. We've got towering mountains, deep valleys, sweeping oceans, and constantly varying elevations. Because of that reality, the circles from our flat map are actually massive spheres broadcasting out in all directions from the satellites high up in orbit. And to intersect spheres and pinpoint a single point in 3D space, well, 3 spheres are still going to leave you with 2 possible points.
So by using the signal travel time from at least 4 satellites, the system calculates a precise 3D position for you. We're talking your latitude, your longitude, and your altitude. That 4th satellite is an absolute game changer because it essentially locks everything in. It gives the system enough overlapping spherical data to pinpoint exactly where you are on the surface of the Earth and exactly how high up you are. But honestly, perhaps even more impressively, that 4th satellite provides a totally crucial mathematical cross-check. Because your smartphone is amazing for sure, but it does not have a multi-million-dollar atomic clock stuffed inside it. It has a relatively cheap little quartz clock. That 4th satellite signal allows the GPS receiver in your phone to solve for 4 distinct variables: latitude, longitude, altitude, and time correction. It automatically syncs your phone's imperfect clock with the master time of the universe above, making absolutely sure all those massive spheres intersect perfectly at one single point, you. When you take a moment to really sit back and let that sink in, the engineering is just staggering. It is truly incredible to realize that reading atomic time from space translates directly into that simple blue dot saving you on a confusing city street. We are casually walking around with devices in our pockets that are receiving signals moving at the speed of light, broadcasted by atomic clocks hurtling at thousands of miles per hour through the vacuum of space, calculating relativistic physics on the fly, all so we can find the nearest coffee shop or navigate around a traffic jam. It is just this profound, beautiful intersection of advanced mathematics, quantum physics, and practical everyday convenience.
So I want to end this explainer with a bit of a provocative question to spark your comments. If the entire global positioning system just blinked out of existence for exactly 24 hours, what happens? What breaks first for you? We tend to think of it only when we need driving directions, but the reality is we rely on it for so much more than that. That exact atomic timing signal synchronizes global financial networks and high-frequency trading. It manages regional power grids to prevent massive blackouts. It keeps the cell phone towers communicating so your calls don't drop. Global shipping and logistics would literally grind to a halt without it. So take a moment, really think about this invisible web of technology holding the entire infrastructure of our modern world together, and let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.